Okay. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Just FYI, I have to drop at 11:30 for a work call. So just
Okay.
heads up.
Well, good. I'm glad you're able to be here. So we'll get right started here. Hi. Well, I'm Amy Johnson. Nice to meet you. And I do this every month with Sheila Arthur, who's here too. And we decided a few years ago now, almost 2.5 years ago, to come on here and create a safe space to talk about living our values. Because the work that I do and that Sheila does, we believe that, when we cut more in touch with our values, then we are living more vibrantly, fulfillingly, satisfyingly, in all those ways. So we are here to do that. So we check in once a month on the 11th of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific time and talk about what it means to live our values. So welcome everybody who's here and who is watching after the fact. And we'll have a few more people probably come in a little bit late. But what I like to start off with is hello, saying hi, and that also get back to what are core values, because a lot of times the word core values or values is kind of used in a very general sense. And so what do we mean in this space when we talk about core values? So core values are single words or short phrases that express what is most important to us in that authentic place of ourselves. What they do is they become a bridge. The bridge, on one side of the bridge, it connects us to ourselves. And on the other side of the bridge, it allows us to bring ourselves out into the world. So they go both ways, but they are reminders of ourselves in an instant of who we most are, who we are authentically, that divine highest self. And in this world, we choose our values from a process that I created, and it's an inquiry-based process. So it's from the inside out rather than seeing a list of values and picking them, which is most often the way values are chosen. And we run workshops, and we just recently finished a core values 7-day quest, which was really great. And in all of that, it's about like beginning to identify our set of core values. Once we have that set, we have to check it and make sure that it's actually ours, because there's so many influences in our life, whether that's generational influences, parental influences, marketing, social media, our friends, culture, that sometimes we choose values that aren't actually ours. And then we think, oh, we just can never live up to it, but it's actually not our value. It's actually a should or something from someone else. So we do what we call calibration. We check it, make sure that they're actually our values. And then we begin, the fun really begins, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Okay, how do I live it? Now that I know that this set is mine, not a bunch of shoulds that was decided by others, that I am going to get out there and live my values, and not perfectly, but intentionally. And we have these conversations every month and in our community because it's fun and it feels better when we live in alignment with our values. So when we can do that, life gets more fulfilling. There's more happiness, joy. Today, we're going to talk about vitality and how living in our values helps us feel more alive and can take the mundane and the same old from sleepwalking into vibrancy and joy. So that's what we're going to talk about today, plus just check in. And it's meant to be a conversation. I like to talk a little bit about the theme when we get started, and then just kind of we go where it goes. And these are all recorded and put in our community for people to listen to after the fact. And they're also on YouTube as well. But yeah, so that's it. And as I said, the other thing is, one of the things that we say here, one of the reasons that I believe it's so important to do this work is that what I say is that living our values is a radical act of love. Because when we live, L-O, our, V, values, E, every day, it's a radical act of love to ourselves, love to others, love to the earth. It's a way of putting love out into the world. And that's what we're doing here. And Sheila, do you have anything to add? I know I just spoke for a few minutes there, but did you want to say anything?
You did a beautiful job of summarizing and getting us started in terms of anchoring us and grounding us in what the values are. I'm curious, Kara, how did you hear about us?
I recently just started therapy and I went on Eventbrite and just like typed in wellness seminars, and something I actually that came up in my first session that I'm working through is core values. So I'm super excited about this.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that's just, it's so grounding. It's so helpful to know those.
And
Yes.
it's hard to kind of define. So I'm super interested in this session and to hear all about it.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here. And it's a journey, right? It's not a one and done. And
Right.
that's what we do. And because we believe that community is really helpful to do that. Community of like-minded people who are curious about their core values, value lifelong learning and fulfillment, want clarity, and are often going through a turning point in their life too.
Right.
So that's we kind of gather intergenerationally, because I work with teenagers all the way to people who are retiring. So it's that we all have values, we just don't always talk about them.
Right.
So hi, Terry. Wanted to check in and say hi.
Hi. I'm doing all right. I seem to be adding more words to the different categories of values, and it's getting more and more useful as we go along.
That is so great. Do you want to share what your 5 to 7 values are as of today? I have your list here too, if you want, but where are you with them?
Yeah, if you would, I have a circular page, and the 7, let's see if it's on the next page. No, it's not. It's all just as we went along here. Yeah, so if you would.
Okay, you can tell me if I'm right. I have the first one as calm and clarity.
Calm and clarity, yeah. Yeah.
And then do you want to tell us what the definition is, or I'm not putting you on the spot here. I'm just curious if you want to share. You do not have to in any.
I think
we could just read the list too.
Of course, yeah. Inner peace, kind of a meditative that comes out of meditation. I've just been in some challenging situations, and I've returned to this, and I find that it helps me see that other people are responding to what I feel is my reason for being in a certain situation. And I was just talking about this. I have a big job to do that's with all my cousins, and it's not something they want to do. And so I was given a little piece of clarity from understanding that my prediction is that they will resent me, and to not take it personally.
Right. Yeah.
So I have to do this, and I'm predicting, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, but that's what this clarity is about. I keep wanting to see around a corner instead of just having to be pushed into a position by my mom. Being pushed into a position with people. I want to try to look around that corner first so I can prepare for possibilities. And
that's powerful. And and in a moment you can just say calm and clarity to remind yourself when you get caught up in what they're thinking or possible resentments. That is a tool for you. That's what I mean when I say connect you back to yourself.
Yes, connect me back to myself.
You don't have to go to anything other than the words calm and clarity. In an instant, it is your tool to say, right, I'll remember, calm and clarity reminds me of inner peace, that I meditate, that it's not my responsibility. I can't control what they think or do or resent, but I can be in myself. And those are the words that you chose because they felt good to you.
Yeah.
Someone else has a different value, might do the same thing for them. So
Yeah, going off that, something I've learned in therapy is like really setting expectations for every person in your life. And I think that helps with that like inner peace, because you have, you know, you've set those expectations from close friends to family, and I really hope that finds with like goes along with inner peace.
right, absolutely. Hi, Coach Constance. How you doing? I can't, you're on mute.
I said, hi, Sheila. Hi, Kara.
Hello.
Good to see you. Sheila, did you want to add anything?
I think that, you know, we can tie that back to what we're talking about today in terms of vitality, because that calm and that clarity really do help with that sense of well-being and sense of getting in touch with what really brings you joy and satisfaction and excitement. And it's like being able to be in the space of you and being able to know what that is for you. And then to like, okay, from a calm and clear place, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what makes me happy. And
Right.
that's a great place to be.
Yes, and it's not always easy. I mean, I've certainly been in the place of looking to others to help me feel my vitality. Like I would determine my life force based on whether or not I got approval from other people in the past, or whether or not they were mad at me or not, or, you know, some other story I would have about the external. Whereas the values have helped me have that sovereignty within myself to be able to articulate clearly what brings me joy. And each of my values holds joy within it in some way, shape, or form.
Nice one.
Each one of my values holds vitality in it. It's not just one that says live life to the fullest. No, each of them has that capacity. And it's about taking the time to connect the dots in what we do and what we feel, when we feel most alive, and which one of our values reminds us to do that. So it's like that feedback loop in that regard. So one of the things I've learned to do, an example of that is, I have a negative mind. I just do. I think many people do. Mine is, you know, on steroids. Part of it's my personality, part of it's how I came into the world, part of it's life circumstances that have happened over the years. But I have learned and worked hard to shift it, not 100%, but do so much better than I used to. And one of the things I've learned to do is, the first thing when I wake up is I say thank you. And I say thank you for this new day and this beautiful light. That's it. It's so simple. And in that moment, it shifts it. I'll still want to pick up the negative thought, but I don't. Now,
Someone's at my door.
okay, go ahead. And when I don't, it's reminder. So my thank you act is connected to my value of gratitude and grace, but it helps me also flourish, live sustainably, and be in collaboration, because thank you means there's another person or divine being there. So the thank you is in all of my values, but it's really inspired by gratitude and grace, one of my values. So does anyone else have an example of that? Something that they do to kind of shift their own energy to have more vitality, that they could connect to a value that they do, like that thank you? Terry.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that I start my day just with a sort of checking in with my body, and doing limbering exercises. As soon as I get up, just stretch my back and do just a few. I mean, it's really only a 5-minute thing, but
Mm,
it's really physical. Just wake up physically and be in touch with my body.
yes. I can see that. Now, which value would you say that's connected to? I see it in almost all of your values, but I wonder what you think.
Well, I have a one that's physical health. And in that category, it has more like go to the gym every day and do things like in an hour and 2 hours, like go swimming. But I think what I've turned it into, since sometimes those other parts aren't available, is just a checking in from head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
Physical health, just checking in every day. And I think what this values clarification thing has done is it helps me do it every day, but it helps, and I think what I would add to it at this point is going over the 7 values, the 7 categories as a part of checking in the head.
Right. Yeah. As an act of calm too, right? That's
Yeah.
why. Did you ever end up posting them? One of the steps is we like to put them somewhere, our set of values that we can see. So we can see them right in front of us.
I'll make that happen today.
Okay, good. So anyone else have an idea? It doesn't have to be just in the morning, but something you do that you could connect to one of your values that brings you life force, vitality, joy.
I think something for me, like in the morning, is just like I'm a Virgo type A. But just like making my bed every morning just really helps with just like setting my mind straight, and then like getting my I work from my living room, so like getting it organized at night and just like having that like clean and clear mindset.
Right. Yeah. And did you get a chance to name any of your values? Do you have a value that
I actually, so I've only been in therapy for like 4 or 5 sessions, and that's something that we're working on, and work's been really busy, so I haven't had a chance to like work on it. So I would love some of your advice for how like how I can, some exercises I can drill into to help me define my core values.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, well, we developed a process. So it's, an 8-step process. So that's one way to do it. There's no, we like that way. I think it's fun and it's worked. But even before that, what you can start doing is noticing is a big piece of it. Starting to pay attention. Notice when you have a feeling about something. So take the example of making your bed. That feels good to you. That feels satisfying to you. And what is it about it that makes it feel satisfying? And is it the satisfaction? So or feel good. So is it the, like you said, calm and peace, clarity? It could be something related to beauty. So just start naming the things that are important to you. Other people might have something else that they attribute to it. So just start. I like to use the example of going on a hike. So if you're going on a hike with a friend and you're having a great time, someone will begin to notice, oh, I'm feeling so happy. It could be about being with a friend, a sense of belonging, a sense of connection. It could be about nature, love of nature, just smelling the clean air, feeling the dirt beneath your feet, seeing the beautiful flowers blooming.
Yeah.
Right. So all of a sudden you have 2 areas that you're, oh, okay, love of nature. Oh, a
I'm
connection.
very artistic too. I like to paint.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so what is it about the paint? Is it the tactile aspect of putting the paint on, if you paint on wood or boards or canvases? Is it the creativity? Is it the play? So you get to name those things. So it's starting to notice the things
Mhm.
that have how you feel in a moment. If you are somewhere and you feel disconnected, you're like, "God, I just do not feel centered." Good. Start noticing what that is. What is not in alignment right now? It could be, I joke about like standing in line at Target with way too many things in my cart, little virtually or in person, and going, oh my God, what, I am disconnected here.
Mhm.
Really found myself on Target app the other day before meditating. That's just not a good sign for me. So
Quick
I had to
question.
settle in.
You have those 8 steps. Do you mind sharing those?
I don't have a form that I have with the sharing of them. Like it's a workbook that I created. So
Oh, do
it's
you mind
part of,
sending me a link to it and I can buy it or whatever?
it's usually part of the workshops we do, but if you
Okay.
sign up for that, I haven't quite made it officially out there without being part of the training. So
Okay.
it's not like it's not ready for just distribution without guidance.
Got it. So is there like a link I could go to sign up for that workshop?
I can send you, yeah, I
Okay.
can my website or and when we have another one, but you keep coming to these if you want.
Yeah, for sure.
And I work one-on-one, or you can put your own little workshop together. So there's different ways, and I'm happy to like talk to you for 20 minutes or so another
Awesome.
time. If you want to do that, I can send you.
Awesome.
You can put
Thank
your email in the, or text, whichever is better for you, in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
You have to leave early. But what the most important thing is that it's a process, and there's not one way to do it. I'm not, the process I came up with is not the only process out there, but it is one that has been super effective, and one that connects the dots and is done a little bit differently than others. So, and we do it because it's a radical act of love. Love. So, Constance, did you have anything you wanted to check in about, or are you just listening today and you're muted, listening?
Keep forgetting about the mute. Not my day technology wise.
I know.
It's mostly listening.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
here to take in the reminders.
Yeah.
Reminders are important to
Yes.
keep on the forefront of the day.
Right. It's true. It is about remembering, or reminders. I mean, that's why we do this monthly. It's why I have a community, so we can check in weekly. And it's an opportunity to really remember who we are, because life gets busy and distracting and meant to take us out of ourselves. But this is a way of coming back to ourselves, and one that we can consciously bring up, so we can bring it into the moment. So thank you for bringing that up, because it's about remembering, because we forget. And these are words that we pick, 5 to 7 words that we pick, we get clear about, and then we get to choose them and call on them, and they're there for us. Because they talk about how we live our life. Our values really reflect that. And so if we're wanting to shift something in how we're living, the values are a great place for ideas. When you have a set that you can really rely on. I mean, that's the key. The workshop is there to get a set that we rely on. Once we have that set, then it's about remembering to integrate it, remembering to go to it, remembering to use it to live our life. And when we come up against anything that is an obstacle or block, how do we work through those, use those values to work through that too? And it doesn't always happen right away, but for me, it usually does end up there. Different tools. It's a great tool in that regard. Sheila, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I was just listening as well and just reflecting on how often my values come up. Just when I'm thinking about making choices about what I'm going to do, or if I'm going through something in particular, which lately it's been a lot. There's always shifts that are happening, right? So there's always an opportunity. I have reframed my values a number of times to just as I grow and shift and change to make them more dynamic and more activating for me.
Yep.
And so one of them that started out as honor life has become life is sacred. And when that for me right now is just so key to remembering to notice, to be grateful for, to participate in, to just take in life and take in the moment because it is sacred, and to value and appreciate all of life, which I do, so it's easy to just like that just encompasses so much for me. And
Right.
that gives me a lot of joy and vitality, because even the choices that I make about what I take in, like the content that I take in, if I decide, oh, I want to relax and I'm going to listen, I'm going to watch a movie, or I'm going to do something, I'm very particular about what I want to have in my life that feels aligned with that.
Yeah.
And it helps me to have an appreciation for that even more. So it's like knowing that and just living from that place and just constantly saying, yes, life is sacred, and other things, inviting beauty into every moment, and activating healing and leading with compassion. All of these things help me to just, I guess, be really protective of what I let in. Because
Yeah.
it's so easy to get away from that and to get into, spiral out thinking about, oh my God, all the things that I can't control and all the bigness of the problems that are in life and the issues that people face and the tragedies that happen. And there's so many things, to get caught up in. But when I remember that, it's very grounding for me. And it's something that I use a lot just to stay in a place of more serenity and clarity and peace.
Right. It's so beautifully said. So beautifully said. They anchor us on that side of the bridge that is our divine self, right? They're the anchor so that we know we can come home, cross that bridge back to ourself, no matter what's happening on the other side. Whether it's great in a party or, sometimes parties I need to leave, but but it's that idea. And do you still have the value reverence for nature, or is that part of life?
That is life is sacred now.
Okay.
Yeah, it encompasses that in there.
So I love the evolution of your values.
Yeah,
They're so
yeah.
beautiful, and they deepen, right? The more you identify them and define them and hone them, they become that much more dynamic, as you said, and resonant.
I think it's a way to really keep them active in life as well, because there's always shifts that happen. I like to honor the shifts that I make. I like to honor the progress that I'm making. And sometimes it's in changing things visually in my world, in my sphere, like being exposed and seeing different things that are the reminder. Sometimes it's just shifting how I speak about the values, of my core values, or define them, or any of those things. All of it helps, because it's like, in this point in my life, this is what's really standing out, and this is what I want to focus on. And so it's very intentional. Yes. And it creates kind of that energy of, it keeps them fresh in a way too. Because it keeps them fresh, it keeps them dynamic, and it's just been very helpful for me.
That's so true and beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I love to see how they are dynamic, and it's that one that keeps changing the most, I think. It's funny how there's certain ones. The other ones have kind of changed too, but not as frequently.
This is true. Yes, this is
that getting to the root of it, because when we choose the words that most resonate for us. So, and we talk about too how choosing our values is a commitment. We make a commitment to ourselves. It's not about become like choosing one day and then choosing something different the next day, not without intention, without clarity, because then that just becomes somewhat of a self-abandonment thing. It's not really honing in on that. So there is a level of commitment that is important in this, because it's self-honoring to do that. It's
Mhm.
being truthful to ourselves. And so I think what I hear is evolution, as opposed to kind of, and that doesn't mean we don't take time to understand what our values are. It's a process. It's kind of holding both dynamics at once. It's knowing, being honest with ourselves. When are we being kind of wishy-washy or frivolous with it? You know, and when are we committing to it? And with that commitment, going, okay, that's not quite right, but I'm committed to finding what is right.
Mhm.
Instead of just kind of casually picking a value today.
Right. Because the other part of it too is that there's so much embedded behind each of the core values that we select as being the ones that we identify as our own. There's so many other values that are associated with it. Like you talked about the thread, the through line for
Yeah.
some of your values. And, you know, there's all of those things, and there's the vitality exists in all of them. And for me, courage exists in all of them, and love exists in all of them.
Yes.
And so it's like, it's not that those are not values. It's just, how is it showing up in my life, and how does it need to show up in my life for me to continue on my journey?
Right.
And sometimes the definition that I've created for it, I will might emphasize one aspect of that more than the other, and that may change the actual phrase or word that I use to describe the value, but everything is still there.
Yeah. Beautifully said. I think that's truly true. It's you know, it is a dynamic evolution, right? Like it's one of those things that is part of us, and it's exciting. And I think, you know, when you said love, I have the same experience. Vitality, love, courage, those are like the essences of being human to me. So my values hold that in space, and then connect me to how that is demonstrated by the uniqueness of me out in the world. So that's what it is, another way to say that. It's the how we live our life, and committing to do that. And and this topic, I think, is so important, because we can so easily get on autopilot in our lives, which gets back to the remembering, getting so focused on the doing. Technology, Constance, you mentioned technology, right? Like I can get so wrapped up in the computer and figuring it out, which, you know, is not usually a good, healthy place for me, that we can forget about the being. And even though it's necessary at times, it's also vital, right? To remember why we're doing it in the first place, which is the value. Reminding us like, oh, right, this is part of flourishing for me to get this technology working properly. It's part of collaboration, because I want to be with other people and come and have our ideas join together. It helps us get through those really tricky Mercury in retrogrades, you know, where it takes me forever to log on to anything this last Mercury in retrograde. So, the like vitality, the life force, our values can help us find it in the autopilot, in the mundane. I had a client I was working with who was really depressed and just couldn't find the life force within herself. And after working together, and I have to look and see, I don't remember which one of it was her values, but it was about, you know, she just went and filled a vase that had old water in it and put new water in the vase for the flowers.
Oh,
Changed her day. And she wrote me about how just that small act can give us vitality and give us the reminder of something really alive within us and outside of us. So it doesn't have to be like save the world. It can be save the flowers in my bedroom, you know, or not save, you know, but just tend to them, love them. That's where it's about an act of love. It was an act of love towards herself, towards those flowers, towards the vase so it didn't get all grimy. You know, each of those things, it's an act of love, and it brings that mindfulness and intentionality to it. And it can, I mean, Stanford's done research, it can make a psychological shift in people, which is that vitality.
Yeah, I have something similar. Like I love like interior design, and like every so often I'll like spend hours just like rearranging all the like little things I have in my house, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, this is so not important, but like it brings me joy. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's not pointless for me. Like, it's a new mindset of looking at my house and, you know, keeping things fresh in my life.
Yes. So one of my daughters has creating aesthetics as one of her values, because
That,
she
yeah.
loves doing that.
Mm,
And so when you give it a name, you honor it, and it takes away the like, oh, I'm wasting time thing. And for those of us that are creative, which as humans, I believe we all are to some degree, to varying degrees, you know, it gives it that importance in your life. It gives, and you name it, right? So it's like, I'm doing this because I create aesthetics. Now, if you're only creating aesthetics and you're not taking care of your physical health, and you know, one value can get too heavy and the other ones can fade away. But that's why when we talk about a set of core values, it's 5 to 7, because that rounds it out. If you have less than 5, usually we're forgetting something. Jill and I have walked through that ourselves. We're like, oh, wait, there's one missing. And then if you have more than 7, usually it's because we don't have clarity. It's too all over the place.
mhm,
And so it's committing to 5 to 7 and
mhm.
staying with those 5 to 7 for a period of time and committing to getting them just right to feel good. The whole idea is that they feel good.
Yeah.
That they light you up and you're like, yeah, I want to think of that. Like, oh my
Mhm.
God, yeah, this is awesome. And we talked about painting the color of a bathroom yesterday in our in the community office hours, you know, and how important it was. And she realized how that it made a difference for her. And one of her values is inner sovereignty. And it was like, oh, that being able to choose, because someone had picked the color from something else and she just used it. And she's like, no, I want this to be an expression for myself.
Mm.
You know, so those little things that seem like not important, they are.
Yeah,
And
definitely appreciate the little things.
yeah, and we can tend to just bypass them so quickly.
Mhm.
Shifts don't have to be huge. They a lot of small like changes can little by little make a huge change. And it's developing the habit, like the internal habit of going to our values and going back to them and going, okay, what is this about for me? I'm a little off here. Why am I on Target shopping?
Yeah.
You know, do I really need that? What is going on here? What am I, you know?
So I have something to go along with that.
Okay.
I'm a designer, creative. Like, in my past life, I wanted to be like a fashion editor, and I just like love fashion, but I'm also a shopaholic. So that's like something that I'm working on now.
Mhm.
But for me, like looking online at like clothes brings me joy. And it doesn't mean I have to buy it, but
Right.
like a lot of people don't understand, are like, why are you wasting your time like looking at these clothes? I'm like, no, because it brings me joy. Like, I love fashion. Like, I got that from my grandmother. Like, it's not me like shopping, it's me like looking at beautiful things.
Yes. Right. And so when you can attach that to a value, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, because you know, and then you have a beautiful story of your grandmother.
Yeah.
Because we talk in the process, one of the things is we identify where the value came from, which is a really important piece. And so so you would tell that story. And then whatever anybody else says, you know, you're not wasting time because you're living in alignment with that value. So I asked in one of my, I think it was on one of my posts, like, has anyone, laughter, what are some things that make you feel alive? Dancing, laughing, music. Yep.
Pets, doggies.
Doggies. I've got
Mhm.
two. Constance,
Nature,
you have a new pup?
new pup and nature.
Nature, for
Nature
sure.
is a big one. The beach for me.
It's
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah, places to really feel alive
Mhm.
and things that
Mm.
we can do. One 2 summers ago, I was realizing that I was just not having enough fun in my life. So using one of my values is called flourish. And so I decided that I wanted to declare a summer of fun. So I committed to doing something every day for 1 minute at least that was fun. Now, fun for me is like organizing and cleaning out the cabinet. So
Me
it could be
too.
productive. The definition of fun for the summer of fun was it was unproductive. It had no other purpose than to play. So one day I did it and it was great. And sometimes that just meant smiling for the entire dog walk. And one day it was going outside and playing with a beach ball. I skipped down the sidewalk walking the dogs.
Love that.
It was hilarious. Well, did I look crazy? Probably a little bit, but in today's world, but it was fun and I could laugh at myself. One day I just started laughing, for no good reason except that laughter is healthy. And we could get ourselves going. Like we could all just start laughing right now. You want to do it? There you go. Right? Like it's hard not to laugh.
I love laughing. I weirdly would just like always have a smile on my face, and it sometimes makes me uncomfortable, but I just like can't help it.
It's good. It's actually, there's research showing how important laughter is and how healthy it is. People who laugh regularly have good cardiac health and lower cholesterol, and it's good for us to laugh.
Yeah. I have a book by a yoga teacher who's considered the laughing yoga teacher.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, because he includes laugh with every pose.
Oh, I love that. I want to
Yeah.
see it again. I get the teachers to like turn to the sides of your mouth up, smile, and I was like, okay, that I can do, but laughter, no. All right, I am like a recovering life is serious person. I just am. I'm kind of wired that way. So my values helped lead me to do the summer of fun, and sometimes it lasted more than a minute, and sometimes it was just a minute, but it didn't matter. There was no judgment. I was better for that minute of laughter than I was not doing it. And so my values helped me find a solution to feeling kind of lackluster and on autopilot and burdened and burnout.
I kind of have a question going along like with your summer fun. Like one of my something I do like I make sure I do every day is to like I live in San Francisco, so like I walk everywhere, is like I either make sure to like make someone smile, makes like a stranger smile on the street, or do like a helpful thing for someone. Like the other day I was like walking the corner store and this old lady was like struggling to take out her trash. Like how could I turn that into like a core value?
Well, I mean, it would take some exploration. What is it you love about
Like
doing?
I hate when people just like walk by you with their head down and like stare at their cell phone because they're like nervous to look at you. Like I think it's really important to just like, even if I'm not going to talk to them again, just like put a smile on someone's face. Like I think that's really important. And it doesn't have to be a core value, but I think for me, that's something that's really important. That I've learned to like instill in my everyday life.
Yes. Well, I think it is an expression of a core value of yours, right? So it's a
Mhm.
matter of, it could be connection, like you value connection with others. If someone's walking by with their head down, they are not connected to you. So it might be that you value connection, and one of the ways you feel connected to others is by helping someone with their trash when they need it, smiling at a stranger. Those would be demonstrations of ways that you express your value of connection. Or it could be belonging, or it could be oneness, like you see the oneness in each of us. And so wanting to honor the humanity in another. So what you're describing is how you are like living your life. And it's a beautiful thing that you want to do that
Yeah.
and connect with others. So what we talk about in the values work is you choosing how that is expressed, right?
Mm.
Like you pick the word that resonates with you, or it could be a phrase, and say, okay, yeah, that's it. That's the I do this because this is what I value in people.
Right.
And it's finding what that word or phrase is, or it could be presence too, like really being ultra aware, present, or noticing. So there are so
Mhm.
many potentials,
Being of service, making a difference.
making a difference.
Yeah. Any number of things, but it's like you get to choose, you get to define that and to figure out what aspect of that is what brings you that you feel compelled to do it. It brings you the joy. It's something that you deeply connect with.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely. So anyone else want to share what helps them stay alive, makes them feel alive?
I think you've said a number of things. I mean, animals just delight me to no end. I don't have any animals right now, and I just go out of my way to connect with them. And sometimes it might even be just watching a little cat video or animal video or animal rescue or something that just seeing them just brings so much joy to me. And I feel a deep connection with animals and also with nature. So it's like anything related to nature. And I mean, there's so many things, beauty, it's people who mention so many things,
Yeah.
uh, connecting with beauty, the
Mhm.
simplicity of beauty and finding it in every moment. That's one of my values, inviting beauty into every moment. Finding that brings me so much joy, and it's vibrant, it's vital. It's like, oh my gosh, because it's a creation, also appreciating what other people have created. I mean, I love that, without having to consume it necessarily, just appreciating what other people have like brought into this world and the way that they do it and the skill and the beauty with which they have, the objects.
Right.
That's a gorgeous in and of itself too. So many things.
Amy, one of the things you said was that these core values serve as an anchor and that we know we can come home to them. And I was thinking about the word home and how home is so different now than it used to be, because we're kind of back. I mean, a lot of times I've wondered where home is. I just sold my mother's home, which is
Mhm.
where I only lived for a couple of years, but I lived more in New Mexico. And at some point, I defined New Mexico as home. And my mother always described her ranch as home. But I think home has to be a little bit more portable these days.
Yeah.
And that if we can be at home in our values, we can be at home anywhere.
Ah, beautifully said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm writing that down.
Yeah. There's actually some oh, what is that channel that has all those different people talking? L- uh, gosh, I used to turn to it all the time. Anyway, there's all these different speakers who talk about home, and I've tried to imagine selling my home, and then not having an actual address, and I can't imagine it. I feel like somehow this home has become a part of my identity, and that it would be, I mean, I do want a place to come home to, but I love this idea of it being that your values are a place to come home to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's beautifully said. Yeah. And I would to bring it back to the vitality. I mean, that's exactly what the work is about, right? Like finding our home within our beingness. And the others are expressions of that, of how we are out in the world.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had this idea, and you guys can tell me what you think about for the next, until we meet again, June 11th. Thinking about how, taking actions daily, small, it could be smiling at a friend, a stranger. That is about vitality, like how do you use your values to come up to live with more vitality in your life? Is it waking up in the morning and saying thank you? And which value is it attached to? Is it walking outside in nature and, oh yes, my reverence for nature, or life is sacred, reminding yourself that. And then begin to notice that when you take that action and name a value with it, it shifts the experience to a deeper one. So if you smile at someone, oh, that's my value of connection, or my value, just practice doing that in the next month and see if you feel more alive.
Yeah.
It could be a fun little challenge to do and report back.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
So I don't know what day of the week the 11th of June falls on, but we'll be here. That's what makes it fun.
Mhm.
And Kara, I'll follow up with you too, so maybe we can have a chat. And I can,
Perfect.
share with you the different ways to keep working. But this is one that's
Sunday.
It's a Sunday? Nice. Oh, that's right, because my daughter graduates high school on the 9th, which is a Friday.
Oh, wait, what date is that?
June 11th is a Sunday.
Okay, I'll be here.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, yeah, they come up fast. Sheila and I were just saying, like, how is it the 11th again? But each one is, dynamic in its own right way. So it's great. And May and June, these are months where there's so much life force out there. So it's a great time to think about what does it mean to feel alive and connect it to a value.
Yeah.
Yeah. My roommate is involved in a therapy called Radical Aliveness. And it's he's learning to be a therapist, and a couple of times he's asked me to be in therapy over something. And in fact, the way he works, by the time you're finished, there's this incredible release of energy. It's an amazing process to actually, uncover what the issue is. And really, I think it comes down to uncovering a value that's being trampled on, and that you're letting it happen over and over, and it takes away energy. So this thing of radical aliveness is about vitality, and what you're aiming us at is about vitality, to find our core values so that we can stay in touch, and it does lead to vitality.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Last little thought. I found this website called Therapy Journals. And they have all different kinds. This one I use specifically for my therapy, and they have just really good prompts in here and just things to think about, but they have all different types. I'll drop the link in the chat right now.
Thank you. That's great.
I have found them very helpful, and they're not all just for therapy. There's some for self-work too.
That's great.
Thanks for sharing that, Kara.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
All right, I have to drop for a work call, but this was awesome. And I look forward to talking to you, Amy,
Yeah.
and you guys next time.
Bye, Kara.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
Take care.
Bye, Kara.
Bye, guys.
All right. Any final thoughts? Anyone open to this challenge just to keep it front of mind for the next month? Come back and think about vitality with our values aligned.
Sure.
Yeah, I think keep it front of mind, and the challenge is to recognize when a value is being stepped on
Right.
and taking away vitality.
Yeah. Well, I think it's knowing what our values are first, right? Getting that crystal clear list. So what you like, you posting them on a wall is an act of vitality, right?
Hmm.
Reminder of coming home. It's the reminder of your aliveness because there's vitality in all of them. So posting them can be the first thing you do. That.
Posting them on a wall. Now that's a language beyond me.
It doesn't have to be a wall.
No,
It
I'm
could
talking about a
be-
Post-it note, but it doesn't have to be.
Oh, on my
see-
wall in my house, not on a wall in the computer somewhere.
No.
Where
Mm-mm.
wall in the computer is where I want it.
No, I meant it like literal.
Literally.
Somewhere you
How-
can see it. I mean, you can put it on a sheet, you can make a collage. It doesn't matter. I just meant somewhere that it's visible where you, when you're not thinking about it, it'll be there to see.
So in fact, I do know this language.
You do. Yeah. The wall of your virtual home somewhere in space. Yes.
Yes. I got a message in Facebook just this morning that Facebook is beginning to charge people as of today. And
For
that
what?
if
Or is it fake?
if you post this message about the new Facebook charges, if you post it on your wall, you'll get a blue dot, and the blue dot means they won't charge you.
It sounds
What?
like it might be spam.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's like a scam.
Oh,
It could
Watch,
be.
yeah, gotta watch out for those.
from my
Yeah.
brother-in-law. So anyway,
That
Yeah,
doesn't-
they take over people's, they hack people's, I heard there must be an active one. Just yesterday, someone I know, their whole business Facebook group got hacked
Oh,
and
God.
locked the assistant out, and they were just putting in ads around
Bitcoin.
clothing, no, women's clothing. I don't know what it was.
Oh.
But it was like still they took over. And then of course, there's no one to talk to at Facebook or Instagram or any of them. So, but just be mindful because they, yeah, there was a couple scammers on my dating app. So I had that. They're using
Cameras are everywhere.
WhatsApp. It's been active lately. I've just noticed more activity lately.
Oh yeah, one of the acts of kindness I did for my uncle who I just visited he's just turning 96, was to be able to block all the scam callers. He was getting a call every 3 minutes,
Oh my
the
goodness.
scam calls all day long. And he would just say, oh, it's my public. And I could tell it was irritating him. At 96, you're not used to having your phone ring 100 times a day. And
Oh.
who
Then it becomes the boy who cried wolf. When an important call comes, he's probably like, oh, it's probably one of those.
Well, he
Yeah.
he looked at his phone and he has names pop up when it's a person he knows. So, but anyway, we called the telephone company that he is connected to, and we put in a search for how to block it, and we blocked it. And by the second day, he got 2 calls in one day.
Great.
It was a big relief. Just while I was there, it was so irritating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like that what you were talking about is a scam.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
there are many. It seems like we are reproducing in scams.
It's true. And only more with AI.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that'll be for another values topic. That'll be interesting.
Correct.
If I'm ready or knowledgeable enough yet to talk about it. Any final thoughts? It's noon and we'll head off, but
Just great to have these and become more familiar with talking to each other and really creating our own community.
we are.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we're, I know. We did
Teresa, Teresa, are you in the Mighty Network community?
I am.
You are? Okay. I'll watch out for you for posts and stuff.
I haven't posted in a while, and I don't have my picture in that group of pictures. There's only our tree arborist there.
Oh, Jerome. Yeah.
Jerome.
So yeah, you have to add your photo there. And I encourage you to put your values in as your bio, your mini bio.
Okay.
Because you're on the community.
Okay. Mighty Networks. Post my photo and values.
Yeah. You'll see
That's
mine is, yeah, it's in your, I think you update your bio or update your about me, or do you know what it's called, Constance?
Probably about me.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you for the homework.
Yeah. Dental homework, of course.
Of course.
Go forth and live with vitality.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah, and don't forget that if you want any of the links for Kara, the therapy books are there.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to see what they are. But all right, love you all.
Love you too. Have a great
Bye.
night.
Love you. See you next time.
Yeah,
See you in a month.
yeah.